I'm going to take you back now to April 2010, when local businessman John Knowles stepped in with a bid to save the Jarrow Civic Hall, which had stood empty for 6 years. Was it 6 years? Goodness me. And it was actually, in 2010, in danger of demolition. He finally bought the property in 2011, and since then he's ploughed a huge amount of money into renovating the venue to try and make it once again the centrepiece of Jarrow. After long, gruelling months, the renovations are nearly complete, so we thought it was high time we got him back into the studios for a chat about his journey. I caught up with him earlier this morning and wanted to know what inspired John to buy Jarrow Civic Hall in the first place. My goodness. And why did he want to invest so much of his own money in it?
My existing business was across the road from the Jarrow Civic Hall. Been there for over 20 years. And we've watched Jarrow Civic Hall deteriorate for about 5 or 6 years since it was first closed down. And I often wondered, if it came up for sale, what would I be interested? If I was interested, what would I use it for? Would I maybe transfer my business into there? And you just sort of romance a little bit, and you just imagine all these different things you can and can't do, and you think nothing's ever going to become of it. And then read the paper one night, there's a little advertisement in there saying Jarrow Civic Hall for sale. And I thought, well, that's interesting. It was a tiny little advert in the worst paper, or the worst day of the week to advertise.
Yeah.
Obviously, council didn't want to sell it. The council wanted to pull the building down. It was a liability to them. It was costing a lot of money. But the realised there was a strong feeling from the people in Jarrow that the building belonged to them.
Definitely.
And that it shouldn't be pulled down. It should be developed. And I think councils are very nervous about pulling it down because of the reaction. But they wanted to see that I had tried to sell it. But I responded to it, and I had said I'd be interested in taking it on. I thought I'll do that first, and then when it comes to it, I'll then decide whether I do or don't want it. And I also thought the car park was very useful to my existing business. And if someone bought it and developed it, we would probably lose that facility. So that was the other reason for it. So anyway, I made them an offer. A low offer, as it happens, but it was the only offer that would have allowed me to find the resources to do what needed to be done. If I had asked for more, or if I had offered more, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And I thought, well, all things considered, if they let me have it for this price, it helps them, helps me, and gets this building back into use. So that was the feeling behind it. One of the biggest problems I've had with it is it's cost a lot more to renovate than what I originally anticipated.
Now, you see, we see this when anyone does it with a house, and they buy it and they think, I'll turn it into my dream home, and they're always over budget by at least twice the amount. Yeah. I don't even want to ask how many times you're over your budget.
Well, I'm going to tell you anyway.
Go on.
I originally thought I would be able to renovate the whole thing for about £200,000.
And?
At the moment, we're standing at £450,000, and there's still probably another £50,000 to find. So,
oh my goodness!
We've stretched our resources to the limit.
You now have it, well, parts of it up and running, so revenue's coming in to help with the further development.
It is, yeah. But the restaurant's now been up and running since December last year. And it's going very well for a new venture, for a new restaurant, but still has a long way to go yet. We're finding it pretty busy on the weekend, not very busy during the week. In fact, I'm tempted to do what most restaurants do, and that's close during the day. I'm very tempted to do that, but my general manager, Samir, who keeps saying to me, don't do it, a time will come, and it'll never get better if you don't give the opportunity. So I'm following her advice, if you like, and saying, well, okay, let's bear with it for now. But it's getting to the point where we really must do something to get things moving in that direction.
Have you moved in your premises from over the road to
No, we decided against that. We decided it wouldn't work very well for us, so we're keeping that as it is.
You've been there a while.
25 years we've been there now. And this is our busiest period, the back-to-school period, because that's our main job, school there. And that is actually supporting the Civic. Much to my fiance's horror, anything that JK clothing makes goes straight into the Civic pot. Without that, we wouldn't have had the ability to do what we're doing, to be quite honest.
More from John after Ollie Murs when we hear about his plans for the Jarrow Civic, including his desire to bring back, how beautiful is this, the 1950s-style dance parties in a brand new renovated ballroom, no less. Been listening to local businessman John Knowles about his investment, an almost £500,000 investment to renovate the Jarrow Civic Hall, a building that's very close to his heart and the people of Jarrow. He's already got the Italian restaurant up and running there. It's been open for a couple of months now, and it was named Sir Charles by all of the Jarrow residents in honour of Sir Charles Palmer, who created the hall as the Mechanics Institute back in 1852. Earlier this morning I caught up with John, and I wanted to know what else is nearing completion.
Well, the next thing is the ballroom. Now, the ballroom's actually almost ready. I say almost ready. It is ready now to be used for events. There's still little bits of finishing touches to do. There's additional toilets we want to create. We've actually had a couple of events recently in there, a couple of weddings, but they were because they were booked months ago. And if I could have avoided them, I would have done, to be honest. But
Yeah.
because we're still wanting things that we wanted to look absolutely perfect, and it's still things to do to get that way. But we actually start next week with some dance classes in there. We've got Egyptian belly dancing on Wednesday next week.
Super.
And we've got line dancing on Thursday. And then we'll be looking to get the old folk who used to use it for sequence dancing and ballroom dancing. They're itching to get back in there.
Oh, I bet.
One of the problems we have is we don't yet have a lift. Now, we've made provision for it, but a lift costs about £20,000 by the time you pay for the lift, pay for the building work. And we've been trying to get sponsorship from anywhere and everywhere over the last period of time, but no one's come up with anything. So our latest plan, if you like, was to get one of the lift companies to sponsor us. And what we said was, yes, we'll pay for your lift, but we don't want to pay it straight away. And most of the lift companies want the money up front. In fact, they won't put them in until we paid for them. So what we've said is to this company is, we would like it, and we'd like it in now, but we'll pay you maybe over the next 12 months, starting next year. And for that, we'll say you sponsored the lift because you have.
Good idea.
And we'll have a big plaque on there to say it's been sponsored by our company. All of the advertising that we do, we'll mention it in there, or the literature that we produce will be mentioned in there. That was about 6 weeks ago. I haven't heard anything since. So
I like
think
the
I've frightened
idea.
them off. So that didn't work.
I would say you haven't had a no that quickly, so they're still mulling it over.
Still a thread of hope there, isn't
Let's
it?
have the optimistic cup half full then.
But I mean, if it doesn't work with them, then we'll try it with a few other lift companies. Somebody might bite the bullet and say, well, it is good publicity for them.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's a local company. And we'll just keep trying.
Yeah, never give up. You haven't given up yet.
No.
And the local community haven't given up because they've helped whenever they can, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the support we've had's tremendous. In fact, a lot of my time each day now is spent showing people around. Older people who maybe met the partners there years ago.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the functions we had recently was the 60th wedding anniversary, and these people met there. So there must be hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the local area who met their partners there in the 50s, 60s, 70s when it was at its heyday. And we actually think of having a reunion of people who met their partners there.
Oh, I love the idea.
So that's something else we're going to be doing.
It's really exciting. It's lovely to hear. Would you do it again, though?
Well, I was asked that question once before, and I think it's an emphatic no, I would not.
No moving even house.
No, absolutely. I think a smaller scale thing I would. In fact, what I would do, I think, is when I get this all ready, my job's done. As far as I'm concerned, I'll have saved the building, we've put a nice facility in Jarrow. It may be time for me to move on and leave someone else to pick up the baton and carry it forward. But if I do that, then I'd like to do something similar, maybe in a smaller way, and maybe give something back to Jarrow as well. So if we make money out of the Civic, which eventually hopefully we will, we'll pay all the debts we've accrued, and maybe a little bit of change back, then I'd like to put that into something else, another project in Jarrow, somewhat of a much smaller scale, otherwise my fiancé will kill me. But that's sort of the plans I have at the moment.
Great plans, aren't they? Well done for a job almost completed. John Knowles there. And if you haven't visited Jarrow Civic Hall, it is beautiful. Go and say hello when you pop in.